That's what we'll celebrate. We're going to celebrate that we're still here as Indigenous nations, Indigenous peoples, with that inherent right to self-determination, because we have our own lands, our own languages, our own laws, our own identifiable customs, forms of government, and our own peoples. The inherent right to self-determination. So we will celebrate that we've survived. That's what we'll celebrate. That's what we're going to hold our hands up to and celebrate. We're still here. And we're more now than just survivors of residential schools. We're going to be thrivers. We're going to be thrivers. And that's how we're going to keep building, getting stronger. That circle's going to get stronger, free from alcohol and drugs. Because that's the way we're going to rebuild our nations. That's what we'll celebrate in 2017. That's what we're going to hang on to.
All right, I'm Gunargie O. Sullivan with Gary Olver and Paula Fairweather. We're going to talk first about the residential school demolition ceremony that happened on February the 18th. I went as a residential school survivor and an intergenerational survivor to St. Michael's. Gary went there in support of me and as a witness.
Yeah, it was quite the interesting trip that we had. Yeah, it was. The weather wasn't too bad. We had a little bit of wind, but the day of the ceremony was actually it was all right, and there was a really good turnout.
Yeah, there were about 500 or 600 people there, all at the beginning of the day, watching and waiting for the demolition to begin, right?
Yeah, and I was on a camera, and I did a lot of filming, and we got lots of different angles. I got to witness some of the prayers and the pain, the memories of a lot of the survivors, and even at that point, I would even have said prayers for them. I threw stones at the school window for them. Because some of them weren't able to, throw a stone, so I would, throw it for them. So.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Throughout the morning, there were speeches by the chief, Deborah Hanus. Alex Nelson was one of the MCs. We got to see a lot of people who were in deep, deep grief. You'll see pictures of Ruby Dawson and the chief, the Numgeese chief, and also Bob Chamberlain, who is from Kinkham Inlet. But as the day went on, we moved on to the ceremony. After the demolition, after they took the excavator and began to take the entrance of the residential school down, we decided we had to move forward. We went back to the big house, and we began a celebration with a brushing off ceremony. People like Perry Bellegarde, the national chief, spoke about the importance of sobriety, cleanliness, and rising above the atrocities. Bob Chamberlain spoke, and so did Jody Wilson. Very inspirational and a great example of how to move forward. Now, speaking of which, the Bill Reid Gallery is facilitating rising above the atrocities that happened to residential school by bringing back the language and the culture through art. There was a big feast that happened at the Longhouse.
At UBC, yes, the First Nations House of Learning on Monday night, just 2 days before we opened the exhibition at the Bill Reid Gallery. And the exhibition, The Box of Treasures, Gifts from the Supernatural, it was spearheaded really by Bo Dick. Our curator, Kweowa Jones, worked very closely with Bo Dick over a long period of time to bring this exhibition to the gallery.
And they began with the feast at the Longhouse, which is the proper way to celebrate something that is going to be happening, something important. And this important event was the Box of Treasures, Gifts from the Supernatural. They had a feast there. They introduced the coppers and the gifts of the treasure box that had been in Bo Dick's family and Bobby Joseph's family for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. They showed the treasure box, a couple of the masks, the wolf mask, and another mask.
Yes, that's right. And they also danced some of the Atlakima masks from the creatures of the forest.
Yes.
And they danced some other articulated masks as well. And I think they must have danced about 10 masks.
10 masks. It's a great way to witness events, bringing the camera in and recording it for the people and bringing it back to people like here, our audience at Access TV. So that was an interesting night and an interesting way to celebrate the box of treasures. And let's talk about the opening. Do you want to do that?
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, it was fun, eh?
Yeah.
So,
It was packed. We had over 300 people there, and it was an exceptional evening, and great community support, great cultural support. And I just want to mention the mission of the Bill Reid Gallery is to reveal the vital and diverse Indigenous cultures of the Northwest Coast through not only Bill Reid's works, but exceptional featured exhibitions. And the Box of Treasures is that. It is really amazing to see such incredible ceremonial masks in a gallery setting,
Something
which
that
is very
was
unusual.
outlawed years ago.
Absolutely.
And now here we are displaying them.
Displaying them to the big public. It's absolutely incredible to see them in that context. And they're not meant to be hung on a wall, as you of course know. They are meant to be danced. So we have a number of masks, ceremonial masks and regalia that are on display for a 5-month period in the gallery. And it's important to know that those masks are meant really, are working masks, if you will. Correct?
yeah, correct. They are. They use them to dance. Ceremony to tell stories of the past that that have even meanings to this day, right? So, and it's something that's really culturally important.
And it's also very educational because we're going into a very busy time at the gallery. We're going into the visitor season, and so through March through September, we'll have a number of people coming to the gallery that may not have any awareness of this. So it's a wonderful celebration and educational opportunity for a lot of people.
And what's important is that not only non-Aboriginal people don't know about these ceremonial masks and the origins of the mask, but also First Nations people who have been displaced through the residential school era, foster care and adoption also don't know. So this is a great educational tool, and thank you for facilitating the revitalization of our language and culture. It's very meaningful, and it will make a huge difference to our community at large.
And I want to also say it's a privilege to have this show in the gallery, and there were a lot of permissions that were required in order to do so, and we think it's an absolute honor to
So you
have
followed
this.
protocol to a T.
We did, absolutely. And I also want to mention Bo Dick was very, very instrumental to this happening, but he also credits his Kikanui, the skilled carvers.
Skilled carvers?
Exactly. And many of these masks were creative collaborations.
All right, thank you for joining us on Access TV. Thank you, Gary Olver and Paula Fairweather. It's been a pleasure, it really has.
Thank you.
Thanks.